And we're live. Roll Tide, everybody. Surprise, surprise, surprise. Look at the old catfish in the house, fresh back from an ass whooping of Auburn. And not one, not two. Sorry, let me start this over. Not one, not two, not three, not four. Boom, five. You guys are the ones that said fear the thumb. And guess what? You've lost for the first time since Bear Bryant, 5 straight. It was 28-14. We loved every minute of it. Jalen Milroe's last game at Alabama, possibly. We're going to get into that and more on Sunday Rollback. So thanks for being here, guys, and let's get this party started with a big Roll Tide. All right, there he is. Catfish.
Man, what a day. What a day, Mick. That was one that the life was sucked out of a lot of people, I think, after the Oklahoma game. I think some Bama fans were on edge, including myself. I'll completely admit to it. And they came out and delivered some medicine. They just gave it to them, start to finish. I mean, man, that was nice, wasn't it? Like, it was one of those, like, you go into the game, I'm thinking, man, what the hell are they going to come up with today? You know, there's always going to be some BS, always some BS with them. It's like, what's going to happen? What's it going to be today? And we came out and just punched them, 3 and out, punt, drove down the field. Ryan Williams had the fumble, which obviously killed that drive, but it was never in question. Like, the game was dominated from start to finish, and Alabama gave Auburn pretty much everything that they got anyway. 4 turnovers and you still win the game by 2 touchdowns. Like, that's crazy. What a day. What a nice win. 5 in a row. We talked about Mountain Cat, being in town. Yeah. We were joking about it. We were talking about the whole fear the thumb on the way out, popping the thumb on them and everything. And in true Mudcat fashion, true Mudcat fashion, he says, next year is going to be fear the fist. And he was in rare form after that one. He was pretty excited when that wrapped up.
Yeah, it says you're so mild-mannered, and then to have a brother that's absolutely crazy like your brother is. It's like so weird. You guys look alike, except now he's been living in Colorado, and he looks like he's been living in Colorado in the mountains somewhere. I mean, you were calling him Mountain Cat. I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
But yeah, just a great Saturday. Look, this team's got problems. They got discipline issues.
Yeah. And
we can talk about that. But Jalen Milroe, I think this is it. And he may never play another game at Alabama. And I know some of you guys are going, what? No. If he could opt out. We're going to find out right now when they decide where everyone's going. And I mean the teams, what this group's going to look like for Kalen DeBoer. And some of these guys are going to opt out for the NFL draft. And I've seen him as high as the 3rd highest rated quarterback. But first off, do you think that he should go or come back? He has another year of eligibility. And do you think he'll opt out second?
I don't think he'll be back. I think that was it for Jalen Milroe. We said it. I can't remember which show we were recording this on, but we said it last week. I'm thankful for the SEC championship last year. He took Alabama to the overtime against Michigan in the Rose Bowl in the national semifinal. He did a lot of good things. He beat Georgia twice. He had Alabama in the conversation, had them in the playoff, has had them in the conversation this year. He deserves a lot of credit. But I think Bama fans, including myself, just kind of ready to move on. And I don't know that his stock gets any higher. Like, the only thing I could relate it to, and I talked to Jake Coker about this on the Tailgate Show, is, does he maybe go to another school and pull a Jalen Hurts? Like, hey, I know my time has kind of come to an end here at Alabama. We had some success, but go somewhere else and go find a system, find the best players, and somebody would take Jalen Milroe. Okay. Like, somebody out there would 100% in a collegiate setting take Jalen Milroe. But if he's a first round pick, which right now I think he's the 5th quarterback in most mock drafts at the moment, I don't see how you stick around. unless you think you can move your way into a top 5 pick or a top 10 pick in the first round. But the thing with Milro that we've always complained about, Mick, is his inconsistencies.
Yeah.
And the spectrums, like no quarterback is perfect, right? Like everybody has good games and bad games, but his spectrum is just way, way out there. It's the Georgia game, it's the LSU game, and then it's the Oklahoma game. And that's his spectrum. And I think that you set yourself up for some bad possibilities there. And that, I think that's where everybody else is frustrated, is if you're a Bama fan. Like, it's just too inconsistent. Appreciate what you've done. You won an SEC title. You made the playoffs. You may make the playoffs this year. Enough happened yesterday. It's possible. But either way, I think the majority of fans are ready to move on.
Yeah. Guys, we're brought to you by Pearl River Resort over in Philadelphia, Mississippi. Great time to go over there and check out the Timeout Sports Lounge. And if you play $50 at the sports book, which is in Golden Moon Casino, you can go over to Dancing Rabbit Golf Course without a membership and play that course for $40. And then the other thing is you got one more day to take advantage of this. Everything. Bama Tailgate, 25% off everything. New stuff, old stuff, all stuff. That goes away tomorrow, so take advantage of it. Bama Tailgate, 25% off site-wide with our promo code. Yeah, I think it's time for him to go too. Now, I think he's going to go to the NFL. I think that it depends on the way that the scouts look at him. Are they looking at his best performance, or are they looking at his worst performance, right? I mean, are they saying, hey, we see a lot of stuff he can't do, or do they see a lot of stuff that he can do, and they're saying, hey, like, the guy's got some limitations, but if we can work through some of this stuff, he could be a really good playmaker for our team, and I think that I saw him up there as high as third as far as quarterbacks available. I mean, who knows who's going to come out of college, but that we don't know. Maybe somebody surprises us or something like that. But I'll tell you what, it's his days at Alabama are over. I mean, it's time to move on. You'll lose players if he stays, to me.
Yeah, and you mentioned something about the bowl game. The way, and just so everybody's clear, I'm pro playoff. I love the playoff, but the idea of bowl games now, bowl games are, and they have slowly turned into, and I think with the playoff and the opt-outs and the NIL and everything even more, bowl games are going to be just a tier higher than your spring game at this point. And you're going to play another university instead of yourself. That's what bowl games. Remember, Mick, we used to, back in the Shula days, me and you hanging out, we would be fired up about going to the Independence Bowl. Like, holy crap, we're going to the Cotton Bowl to play Texas Tech. Like, it was a pride thing, and that was a big deal. And now that's just not the case anymore. And nobody really, cares. I won't say there's not a game or two out there where you get a certain matchup, or you get a team that, hasn't been bowling in 10 years and they figured out a holiday bowl bid or something. Those will still exist here and there. But the overall idea and concept of bowl games, they're just glorified scrimmages. And it's actually an opportunity to go in and see Ty Simpson start a game. If Alabama doesn't make the playoff, or Lonergan or Austin Mack or whoever, get some reps and come in and run the offense and actually play some significant series.
Yeah, look, man, I'm with you. I think you're exactly right. I think it's time to go. And I honestly, I wasn't a big proponent of the playoff when it started. And I see, like, a lot of you guys in the comment section feel like you're kind of glad that Milroe's days at Alabama are over. I think we all love the contribution, like Joe says. And then, you know what? He never did lose to Auburn and Georgia. That is a great point. Good for him. Yeah. But it's time to move on. I don't think he's a bum, Tag. I don't think he's a bum. I think it's just time for him to what's up, Chase? Roll Tide, brother. I just think it's just time to move on. Like, he said this was his last year, and it feels like it is. Yeah, I mean, and he's going to move on and go to the NFL, and that's fine. But Alabama's got quarterbacks. I think that that Milro did a good job this year. Could have been better. Left some of it out on the table, but we'll be pulling for him in the NFL, And how about the fact that Malachi Moore, another captain on this team, beat Auburn 5 times? Nobody's ever going to do that again.
No, I mean, you got to go back to that late 70s roster, right, to find the guy that beat Auburn 5 times in his career. And I don't even know the rules back then as far as like redshirting and stuff. So I don't know if you even had that option to be on the team for 5 years like you do in today's world with your injuries and your medical red shirts and just your red shirts in general. But yeah, good for Malachi. And, we talked about him. I love Malachi. He was one of my favorite players as a freshman, but I don't know what got into Malachi, but ever since Nick Saban left, remember Malachi was the one that came out right after Saban retired and said, hey, if they ain't wearing crimson, F them. Yeah. Like he started this chip on the shoulder attitude back in January, and he's let it carry all the way into the end of November, man. Like he's been very, very chippy this year. And I don't remember that out of Malachi in the previous seasons. Maybe I just forgot. Maybe I didn't notice. Maybe I didn't care. But, he's right there in the mix of everything. And unfortunately, some of the instances weren't good. Like kicking the ball at Vanderbilt. Like, yes. I'm glad you're frustrated, but that's not cool. Just go win the game. Kind of like this whole flag planting thing that's going on around college football. But, I got to miss Malachi, but he was a different guy this year.
Yeah, I don't know. I saw that thing on ESPN where he was, really sweet to that girl that was dying of like cancer or something, and I was like, he's a good guy. He had a bad moment at Vanderbilt. I didn't know that. I didn't think that was a personal foul penalty on him yesterday. I mean, he's supposed to play till the whistle, and I didn't think it was like after the bell. I thought, but we've gotten to the point now, guys, and gals, where I can say this: these officials just suck. They just suck. They need help, and they just suck. I mean, it's like you don't call holdings all the plays, and then you just pick a holding to call, and then you go back and look at it. It's not even egregious, but you will just sit there and let guys get tackled. You got. How many, like the one guy's getting put, Devontae Smith's getting pushed out of bounds, like, and they don't even call a penalty on the guy that did it. And it's constant bad officiating in the SEC. The Oklahoma game touchdown that they took from Ryan Williams is past the point of egregious. I had a caller on the show last night on Cover Crimson tell me that the FBI ought to investigate these officials because some of the stuff that he sees, he feels like is fishy. And I'm telling you, I don't know that he's that far off.
It's wild, man. It really is. And you go back, I was talking about this while watching the game yesterday. The officials didn't determine the outcome one way or another in yesterday's Iron Bowl. They didn't determine the Oklahoma outcome.
They did.
But here's the thing is that one, you took away catch of the year from Ryan Williams.
Yeah.
It was an insane grab. Okay. So that's one. Number two, people say, and I'm not saying Alabama would have come back, but how do you go, oh, well, they were down 14 with 14 minutes left. If he doesn't call it, they still weren't going to win. Georgia came back from down 14 against Georgia Tech with 5 minutes left.
Yeah, right.
I don't think Alabama would have won the game, and I'm not blaming the loss on the officials, but you got to let things play out the way they're supposed to. Like you can't miss such major infractions one way or the other. The thing with the personal foul and the unsportsmanlike conduct is, like you said, I don't know the Auburn player's name. I think it was number 5, but he was driving Smith into the boundary and all the way into the bench. Like he was the one initiating the driving. Now, Smith got into the tussle and they both started grabbing at each other or whatever. Malachi's in there trying to break it up. The Auburn bench comes over. And Mick, I'm just trying to process, and I think from what I was told, Matt Austin said it on the broadcast. How do you go like that? And you have this melee on the sideline. And our guy is the guy with his helmet off.
Yeah, right.
And you come back and you say, hey, it was only these two guys. Nobody else did anything wrong. There were no instigations, no retaliations. It was only these two guys.
Right.
Then you fast forward, or actually rewind. Malachi's personal foul late hit. The dude was in bounds when Malachi made contact. That was on the sideline. And Malachi gets called for a late hit, and it's on the Auburn sideline. The guy's still in bounds. Now, he's going out of bounds, but he had a foot still in bounds.
Right.
The other is Peyton Thorne right after those unsportsmanlike penalties. This was Auburn's second touchdown or only touchdown drive. Is you had the unsportsmanlikes. That gave them an automatic first down, would have been 2nd and 10. They drive the ball down to about the 30-yard line-ish, somewhere in there. Give me a little flexibility. Peyton Thorne's getting pressured. The ball on that particular play, they start it on the right hash mark. Peyton Thorne's scrambling for his life, backpedaling, running away. He just chucks it out of bounds. Now, it crosses the line of scrimmage. But the problem is that he's still in the pocket.
Oh,
and you know this because he is one step to the side of the hash mark.
Right.
Well, if the play started on the hash mark and you're one step to the side of the hash mark, you're in the pocket. You're not outside the box. And immediately, quarterback was outside of the box, the tackle box. There's no foul for intentional grounding. Like, what are we looking at here on some of these? Like, they're not even gray area. They're just black and white, and they're missing this simple stuff. And Baron Huber on the Tailgate Show, I was talking to him off air, and we talked about Oklahoma for a minute, and we talked about just officiating in general. And how does Alabama go through what they went through in the Oklahoma game? And then the SEC office, these officials have no makeup calls for Alabama in any way, shape, or form. Like there's
makeup calls.
I'm just saying there's
Alabama gets 3 or 4 for that awful call at the Oklahoma game.
There's nothing. Every 50-50 call goes against them. I don't really like makeup calls, but you know what I mean? It's man, you can't win. You just can't win with them. But Barron was saying is such a good point. And this actually goes on in the NFL too. You've got to just get to the point. The SEC, how much money do they make a year? 100 million, 200 million?
Oh, yeah, like a bundle. What did I call them on that one video? Fatheads from the SEC.
Yeah. How do you not just have full-time officials?
They need to do it. They need to do it. Or maybe have a couple of full-time guys that are really good, and then have a backup video system where when your guy's screwing up a play like that Ryan Williams play or effing it up, you can go fix it for these guys.
Well,
I'm with you.
How many officials are in a game? Is it 7, 8? Plus an alternate, plus a sideline guy with the coaches, plus a replay booth? Well, the booth is in Birmingham. So, you're sitting here, let's call it 12 guys for a game. Okay. There's 16 teams in the conference. So
7, you're right. Yeah. 7.
7. Okay. But let's just say with alternates and everything, you got 10 to 12 guys, who are there as part of the crew. So you got 8 conference games going on. So you're telling me and every crew can't work every week. So you have 2 extra crews. So say you got 10 crews. 10 people, it's 100 to 120 guys. You can't have just salaries for 120 guys. And out of all the money you make, you can't just make that happen.
Well, and the TV money and everything, they've got to do better. They don't have a choice anymore. It's gotten to be to the point where you can't even you can't even enjoy the game because some of these calls are so bad.
And it's across all games.
Here's a great point right here. And this is a great point, Jay, man. In what world is it that you're not allowed to criticize the officials? And he's right. You're not allowed to. You sit there and watch these guys. How about Kalen DeBoer last week trying to say, that Ryan Williams play, which was the worst call ever. And I'm not going to get fired up on you guys about that. I might drop an F-bomb or two. But it's just so awful. And they did look like high school officials, Glenn, and everybody else, that you got this kind of investment into a sport. I'll be honest with you guys. I don't care about the women's basketball. I don't care about the other sports. I want better football, and I like men's basketball. The other stuff's okay. I don't have anything against it. I've broadcasted those games. But for them to like fly around the country like they're, like making money and that people care, it's just not realistic. Like, take that money and invest it into officials, like I just.
That's what I mean. Like,
Well, hold on, Chad. If they saw how they run these athletic departments, Ricky, I'm not saying it. I just was giving you a my kids in here. We're not saying it. This is not the night show. But if you guys saw, and Ricky's kids, you can hear this. If you saw how they run these athletic departments, they just don't run them like businesses. And like I worked with the women's basketball team. I mean, we flew around on chartered flights and, and stayed in nice hotels and went out and had great meals. And when you would go to the games and there'd be like 200 people there. You know what I'm saying? Like some women's basketball, it's just, I'm picking on them. Baseball is the same way. A lot of these other sports are the same way. Yeah. But where the money's coming from is that people care about college football. Without the college football, you don't have any of this other stuff. And especially us in the SEC and the Big Ten too. We've got to do better.
I just looked this up, okay? Just quick Google search. The SEC in the 2023 fiscal year, revenue, $852 million.
Yep.
They then distributed an average of $51 million to the 14 schools in 2023 fiscal year. This year, the anticipated revenue is between 1 and 1.1 billion.
Wow.
So that's my point. You mean to tell me that you couldn't pull together 100, 125 guys who get different ranges based on experience and what, if you're a referee versus a back judge, things like that? Like you can't tell me that some guys couldn't make some decent money just doing that full time and work their way up the ranks with that kind of revenue.
What's up, Timmons? Over there, JLX and Jasper, Roll Tide brother. 40. There's no way those guys are making $43,000. I mean, maybe they need to double it for some of these guys and just take the best of the best and have at least like some competent guys out there. The whole structure, and thanks for that, is bad. But let's get back to the beating Auburn and the quarterback situation. I think that Milro could opt out. It would not surprise me. We'll see what happens there. Could be his last game. Maybe we make the college football playoff. Do you want to give us the scenarios on that? Could you say we have a chance, Chad? You say we have a chance.
We do. We needed some things to happen yesterday. Everybody was a Vandy believer early on, and then that kind of fell to the side. Tennessee actually smoked Vanderbilt. That was an ugly game. But I had a lot of people just kind of asking me, all right, what has to happen on Friday and Saturday in order for Alabama to kind of sneak in? That Georgia loss would have been big, honestly. The Georgia loss would have been big because then if Texas had beaten Georgia, then Georgia would be out. They wouldn't be in. But now they're pretty much in. They're guaranteed a spot at this point. But to remove all the previous hypotheticals, looking to next weekend, it's really simple for Alabama. We're going to have an idea on Tuesday night if Saturday is even worth watching. So on Tuesday night, you're going to want to see two things. You're going to want to see where South Carolina jumps to because they beat Clemson. They beat them on the road. Clemson was number 12. Now, everybody's going to scream and say, well, South Carolina lost to Alabama. Obviously, they did. So Bama's going to have that. The other thing Bama's going to have over South Carolina, Mick, the name on the jersey, the brand. Do you want Alabama in the playoff or do you want South Carolina? And I'm not talking about as fans. I'm talking about as TV people, as the people where the money matters. Right. You want Alabama in the playoff? You want South Carolina in the playoff? That's going to be a pretty easy answer for most. So we still have to see where they put them, but I feel like Alabama is going to remain ahead of South Carolina, and Bama looked good against Auburn.
Yeah.
The key one, though, is going to be where does Miami fall? Some people have said, well, Ohio State lost to Michigan. Guys, they're not dropping Ohio State that low. They're just not. It's not going to happen. So it's going to be all about Miami. Where does Miami fall? Miami has no wins over ranked opponents. Now, that could change because Duke is 9-3. so they could end up in the top 25 this week. They beat Louisville. They could end up in the top 25 at 8-4. But Miami, that's the one to watch. If Miami is ahead of Alabama, it's over. It really, either way, whether it's Miami or Alabama, whoever is ahead of the other one, then the team behind is out, because neither team plays on Saturday. That game or that setup is done. So there's no way to improve your scenario. So the first step is, where's Miami? If Alabama is ahead of Miami, you're not out of the woods yet. Then it comes down to SMU and Clemson. If SMU loses to Clemson, Clemson gets the automatic bid as the ACC champion. They could still go as a bye into the playoff. SMU likely will not fall behind Alabama at that point, and so you're done because Clemson steals the bid. If SMU beats Clemson, SMU goes, ACC only gets one team. Alabama would be the last team in, assuming they're ranked ahead of Miami on Tuesday night. There's some chatter about, well, if SMU loses, could they fall? I don't see it. I think it's very simple. Tuesday, if Bama's ahead of Miami, then you're pulling for SMU Saturday. Tuesday, if Bama's behind Miami, you're going to the Capital One Bowl.
Is it the Capital One Bowl, the Cheez-It Bowl?
The Cheez-It Bowl, my bad. Yeah. Citrus Bowl, Cheez-It Bowl. Yeah. Well, but that goes back to, like, hey, take care of business at Vanderbilt in Oklahoma. Yeah.
When is that? Is that New Year's Day or something?
Nick, they've changed the bowls.
All right, let me check.
So much now. The hell if I know, man. Like, they've changed everything so much. When is the Cheez-It Bowl?
I'm looking right now.
You imagine Kalen DeBoer getting dunked with Cheez-Its at midfield? Tuesday the 31st.
Oh, that was last year. Yeah.
Yeah. Tuesday the 31st at 3 o'clock. So it must be the game before one of the, because you're going to have the semifinal or the quarterfinals that day as well. Quarterfinals are the 31st and 1st.
Yeah. Simmons is saying that head-to-head should matter. South Carolina's got a lot of momentum, but I think you're right, man. The script A carries a lot of weight, and Bama's got the best wins, and they have one over South Carolina. I'll tell you though, what Beamer's doing? What's his name?
Shane Beamer.
Shane Beamer. The guy's good, man.
Yeah.
They should have hired him to go back to Virginia Tech.
Yeah.
So anyway, so we're pulling for, we need Clemson to beat SMU and knock them out.
No.
We need SMU to beat Clemson and knock them out.
Well, again, it's all about Tuesday. Tuesday will tell us if Saturday matters. If Miami is ahead of Alabama on Tuesday, it's over. You can forget it. So it's got to be Bama ahead of Miami on Tuesday night. If that happens, then Saturday you're pulling for SMU over Clemson.
Okay. All right. We'll be keeping an eye on that, fellas. All right. Final thing now. Next up, who's going to be that next quarterback? And do you think they'll play the bowl game if it's not a college football playoff game?
Well, I don't think Milro will. I think he's done. But if you're Simpson, Mack, or Lonergan, you're definitely going to play in the bowl game.
So you think he's opting out at Milro? He's done.
I don't know why you'd play. You don't gain anything from playing.
Right.
So at that point, like I said, the bowl games just don't mean anything anymore for the most part. I get somebody will say something about it, but they just don't. It's just not the case anymore. So I don't know. I look at it and just say, hey, this is – it's more about how many reps will each player get. Like, do you try to rotate all three and say, hey, we're using it as a scrimmage? Do you only go with two? Do you let Ty run the whole game, assuming he's, the immediate guy that they go to? I don't know. Because if you're DeBoer, you also have to almost sit down and ask these guys, hey, who's transferring? Like who's transfer? Because if you're going to transfer, I'm not going to waste a bowl game on you.
Yeah, right.
And that's a tough conversation, and it's an awkward conversation because it's like your boss coming up to you, hey, you quitting? You going to a competitor? It's like, no, I don't know. I'm in here, coach. I'm in here, boss. Like, I'm good, man. We're tight.
Right. Yeah, count me in.
Yeah, so that's tough.
Super chat. From Ryan. Thank you, Ryan. Appreciate you, brother. Can we expect to see a mass exit to the transfer portal when the season's over and no playoff spot? Would not surprise me. I hate to say that, but it would not surprise me because that's the way it is everywhere now. It's even like that for Saban. DeBoer needs to find guys that get his style, that match him, because I don't feel like this team ever responded to the way that he coaches. And I don't think that it's because he necessarily did a bad job. It's just that we all have different ways of communicating, and some of us do things one way and some of us do things another way. And for everyone, there's sometimes different people that respond to your style. And I guess getting in someone's face and yelling at them and coaching them up, that way of thinking's over, So there's going to be some guys I think that'll jump ship. We had it last year. Is it going to be a mass exodus? I don't think it'll be like Florida State last year where, all your good players leave. I just think some of them are going to leave. And the other thing is that it's a free market. So if you can go somewhere else and get paid, you may do that. Like I was looking for Isaiah Bond in that football game yesterday. Did you see him?
He only had 4 targets.
I mean, great decision. What about Amari Niblack? Did you see him in the game?
Yeah, I heard his name, I think, once.
Didn't they call his name when he got introduced? So it doesn't would those two guys have made a difference this year? And they transferred out. Let Texas go buy them all Lamborghinis. But the guys that you got to keep, you better be ready to pay. You better be ready to pay for Hollywood because somebody else is going to come along and offer him money. So hopefully Bama's NIL is strong enough to be able to keep those guys. So,
yeah, that's a concern. And real quick on the bowl game, the projection is Alabama and Illinois right now. So, and as Alabama fans, nobody's going to get excited about playing Illinois. So that's what I mean with some of these bowl games. Do you really care to play the Fighting Illini, Mick?
I want to play Colorado.
Oh.
Does Coach Prime have a chance to get in?
No, because the bowls aren't tied to each other.
Okay.
So it's SEC and Big Ten. Colorado's actually a great talking point for a different show, but is same thing. Shadur Sanders and Travis Hunter. There's no reason for them to play a bowl game. They're going to go. Those two are going to be in the top 3 picks in the NFL draft. Why in the world would you play in a bowl game?
Yeah, right.
So yeah, another good one. It's just bowl season's going to be interesting. With all the players and the opt-outs and whatnot.
I'm with you here. Some of these guys that transferred out, like Caleb Downs, sorry, I'm glad Michigan beat them. It is what it is. All right. So I'm thinking that the quarterback battle for next year starts in this, if we go to the Cheez-It Bowl. We'll see what happens. It's going to be kind of a wild off season, but I got a feeling it's going to be. I don't know that Ty Simpson's guaranteed that job.
Does Bama
Austin
go to
Mack
the portal?
and Dylan Lonergan can all play. What's that?
Does Bama go to the portal?
You talking about for a quarterback?
For quarterback?
No.
You don't think so?
No.
I don't think so, but it's just a question. There's no anointed guy that's this is him. He's next. You knew Bryce Young was next. You knew Mac Jones was next. There's no, he's next. Because we don't really know how good or bad Ty Simpson is.
Yeah.
But the vibe is just that. You don't know what you're getting. There's no excitement around it, right? Mm-hmm. Same thing with Mac and Lonergan. You don't really know. So just more of a carrot for you to chase there, man.
I'm hoping that we get back to, I've enjoyed Milro. You guys know that. I like his explosive running. But if I'm assessing, it just after that first half of the Georgia game, it was Jekyll and Hyde this season. And yeah, I was really, really hoping. And when he got hot in that game, he was absolutely fire, but he wasn't able to keep that consistently. So I'm kind of hoping that we find somebody that is a better passer. And I like to have the dual threat. I'm a big fan of the dual threat, but I still think you got to be able to pass teams out of some of these defenses. And when Alabama's won national championships, it's been with the passing quarterbacks. It hasn't been with the running guys.
Right. No, 100% accurate. So you just got to have the threat. That's all.
Right.
Just the threat, not the hey, this is what I do, and I throw the ball a little bit, or a running back who plays quarterback.
Final part, I guess. Final thoughts on the show. The Iron Bowl, 5 straight over Auburn. Look, we had 2 thrilling games there, and then 3 butt whoopings in Tuscaloosa. But I really can't believe that their program has fallen this far down, and part of it's because they kept firing their coaches.
Yeah, I mean, they haven't had a winning season since they fired Gus Malzahn. There was something, I'm going to butcher the stat, but I think the last time they won 11 games was Cam Newton. They constantly have more than 3 losses in a season. They're just a program that, they kind of hang around like a little gnat when you play them. They'll come up and beat Texas A&M, you know what I mean? Or they'll take you to push you to a certain limit, but they just aren't that program anymore. They're the 500 guys. They're 5-7 or 6-6. They play in Birmingham Bowls. They don't compete for the SEC championship.
Yeah.
They just don't. They don't. And Hugh Freeze has to figure it out, because he was going to save everything. Like Harsin was oh my God, 4 other people said no. We got to go get somebody, and he doesn't suck, and he's done well at Boise. But Hugh Freeze was the guy.
Right.
Like I think maybe Lane Kiffin was supposed to be higher selected than him, but Hugh was the guy.
Yeah, but Lane Kiffin didn't pass the vetting process.
Okay, so fine.
Just saying
okay.
that. That's and I don't have that on the record, but I will tell you that that's what I heard.
Okay, so but Freeze, everybody thought this guy's going to be a problem. This is going to be it. Like, we're going back to where we were with Gus Malzahn, and not the case. Honestly, they should, if it doesn't work out next year, should watch and see how Gus does at Florida State as an offensive coordinator, and consider bringing it back. Like,
right.
That, or the next guy up who's going to get a shot is. And by the way, it feels so good that we're talking about Auburn through this lens. This is amazing. But the next guy up who could get a shot, Sam Pittman, is going to get fired as Arkansas's head coach.
You think so?
Yeah. I think Sam Pittman's going to be fired. And after he's fired, then Arkansas either has to hire Bobby Petrino, who's the offensive coordinator and their old head coach, or whoever they bring in is going to fire Bobby Petrino, which is going to put Bobby Petrino on the market, which could be an eventual landing spot as well, because they had Jetgate already. I'm just saying, those are guys who kind of circle back as like second chance guys. And if you're Auburn, it's something, that you could get done maybe somewhat cheap, because they're burning through money, man.
Yeah.
They're just burning through money.
Yep. Well, it's been great, man. I mean, it's been great, friends. It's been great watching Alabama beat them down. I've loved it. I hope that it continues. Kalen DeBoer, I thought, did a good job of just playing a really safe, smart game. It's a shame that this team couldn't bring that intensity last week against Oklahoma. It's a shame that this team couldn't be focused and disciplined against Vanderbilt. But they still might get in, which is crazy. We're always right on the bubble these days, right?
I know.
So we'll see what happens, but
Tuesday night.
Yep, Tuesday night. We'll be on here doing that show as always. But anyway, Catfish, great to talk to you. Great to see all of you guys here. Like, subscribe, thumbs up. Take advantage of this. You got to act now, because they're taking this code away from me tomorrow. It's the best deal that New Life Art does all year long. 25% off everything. 25% off the new prints. 25% off the Nick Saban stuff, 25% off the classics right now. Bama Tailgate, newlifeart.com, 25% off. Get that Christmas present bought. You want the Ryan Williams catch against Georgia? Get it, because it's available right now. 25% off, though, at newlifeart.com, site-wide. But that sale ends on Monday. So take advantage of that, guys, and thank you for being here. So Roll Tide to all of you. And again, we're brought to you by Pearl River Resort over in Philadelphia, Mississippi. Talked about them earlier. We'll have Catfish Courtside coming up, so make sure that you log on for that. And then Jake Coker and I are planning to get together tonight. We'll get our breakdown of the Iron Bowl. We'll have that, or actually tomorrow morning, we'll have that on here. And then we'll be on all week doing stuff. So roll tide, everybody. And let's see what happens. Tuesday, we'll have that show. But before I do that, you know what, Kat? I can't believe I almost got out of here without doing this.
That's all right.
You're probably like, what's he doing? What?
We're getting ready for Catfish Courtside. Yeah, that's the new one.
There he is. Look at this guy.
New one.
Whoa, wait. 1, 2, 3. Oh,
that's the new one. We rolled it out Friday. 0 down mortgages, new programs, 2 of them just rolled out. And all I can say is scan that QR code there on the screen. Hit me up, Chad at chadwickanderson.com. Cell phones 256-509-8200. Do you qualify for one of these 0 downs? Now, we still do the refinances. We still save people money. We're saving people on average $600-700 a month on their refi. But the new 0 down, scan that QR code. We got a couple of programs if you want to see you qualify for those on a purchase.
All right. Roll tide, everybody. And we will be back later on today just because we love hanging out with you guys.
Roll tide.
To Pearl River Resort.